Hello everyone, Stefan here. I just want to give you a short update on what is going on with the Advanced Product Backlog Management course now with AI. And let me take you through the plan I'm currently having. So, what are we doing here? So, originally, the first version of the class comprised two big segments, so to speak. So, it's the one on the left side where we talk about alignment, you know, getting everyone on the same page, help stakeholders, teammates understand where we are heading, how to figure out what it's worth building, etc. pp. So basically the whole story of strategic alignment down to the tactical level. Where do we start at the top? Where do we end at the bottom? So, for example, using Pavel's product strategy canvas is a good idea if you want to start something and if you need to have a big picture, but somewhere you need to get down over time, right? And you probably end up with some sort of user story mapping with your stakeholders and your team members to actually figure out how something is supposed to work. So this covers a lot of ground. Product discovery, what kind of canvases, what kind of tools are helpful in that respect. And then on the other side, the second part, that is basically what I call the product backlog management process. So this is not strictly Scrum speaking, but it's the place where I basically come up with this process to help you understand how to fill your product backlog with useful hypotheses. Because as we all know, unless you build it, ship it, and you collect feedback from your customers, everything that you consider is a hypothesis, just at different levels of verification that you have. So we spend a lot of time on figuring out how the process works, how individual components of that works. What, for example, is an anti-product backlog? Spoiler alert, it's the stuff that you currently are not considering worth building. That may change in the future, but as of now, you simply say no to these things, right? Okay, coming back. Now, where do we fit in the whole AI part? This is relatively simple. So I think that without AI, it's actually not useful. And I'm, I'm, I don't like to talk about how to create yet another process enabled by agentic AI by coupling together a few of AI agents. So I start at the beginning because in my experience, and I've been doing this for more than 2.5 years now, you need to understand the basics, how generative AI works, how large language models work, if you actually want to use them in your professional environment or your private environment. So this is basically what we start to do. So we take it slow. We start with the classic of prompt engineering, simply because the old maxim of garbage in, garbage out is very obvious in this context. Large language models really help professionals who know what they are doing and what they are talking about. If you are qualified, if you have a high proficiency in a certain field, you will find that large language models offer a tremendous upside. They're an endlessly patient body, very knowledgeable. And if you know how to talk to them, they actually come back with good stuff. For example, critiquing your designs, your ideas, so and it's really not about outsourcing thinking to someone else, to some other entity, and slowly but steadily facing a decreasing level of intelligentsia, so to speak. This is not what it's all about. But if you do not understand prompt engineering, or I like the term context engineering better, you simply will not succeed using these models, right? There's no way around this. So what we're also talking about is customization of the model of your choice. How do I tweak the model so it's more reflecting what I want it to be? Starting with the tone, starting with what not to do, and how you would like to be treated. For example, I instructed all of my models that I use to whatever I do, deliver three questions at the end of a response that go beyond what we've been talking before. So just to trigger some additional thinking, and maybe they come up with some ideas that I haven't had before. So it's a more kind of back and forth, challenging my way of thinking, and maybe I find something new, and it quite regularly happens that way. Also, I like to convince you that spending $20 on one of the professional accounts of one of these models at least is a very good investment, because many of the people who say that large language model are a waste of their time basically have a no clue what they're doing as far as prompting is concerned, and they typically use the free models. And this is a combination that actually delivers disappointment every single time, right? So that would be one thing that that I would hope that you will consider doing so if you're not yet doing that. So we will also talk about GPTs, projects in Claude, or gems in Gemini. So GPT in this respect means a custom GPT, a personalized chatbot you configure within ChatGPT, tailored with your own instructions, behaviors, brandings, optional tools or APIs, and shared under your control. So this is really mission critical, and we will use GPTs in the online course. You will build GPTs, and of course I will share many of the GPTs I built for myself. Also, for example, I created a GPT that helps you editing reports that one of the large language models is creating for you. Speaking of deep research reports, this is the really one example of agentic AI that is really working. So deep research, I refer here to ChatGPT as well as Gemini, is really awesome. And I will show you for what purpose I use this and how you can do so as well. By the way, the whole online class is built around the use case of a very rudimentary startup. It's called Health XYZ. And basically, for the AI component, restructured the whole startup case. And I will show you what happened and what was created. So basically, I ran some market research with these deep research reports. And the market research led to a pivot of our little startup here, moving away from a B2C startup with a marketplace to a B2B offering for corporations interested in their employees' health and well-being. You will have all access to that. By the way, now that I had a marketing report where there might be a market niche, a good market niche for Health XYZ, I also could start synthesizing more of Health XYZ version 2 background. And I will share with you how I did this actually too, so that you can apply this in your environment as well. So for example, the narrative of the startup got significantly boosted. We now have personas, product strategies, stakeholder interviews, product requirement documents, support cases, the whole thing that you usually have when you're working in product management in any capacity. And then, as far as the foundations are laid, we move on to some of the typical applications of generative AI in the product field. So, like analyzing patterns in unstructured data, right? User interviews, support issues, PRDs, team artifacts. Remember, you ran a retrospective with your team members because they simply do not understand how sprint goals work, and you get some feedback from that. Maybe you want to act upon it, right? So what we're also doing is an exercise where we start populating all the canvases from the alignment segment with AI, based on AI. So not in the sense that the language model is supposed to substitute your work here, but that we have an understanding, okay, how might we populate these canvases based on the information that we have available from Health XYZ, so that you get a good understanding how to apply this technique to other canvases, frameworks, and tools that are out there, because it's not rocket science. So what else? We certainly will talk about product backlog item creation or hypothesis formulation, based and aligned with the information that you already have, where you're heading, where you're going. Does the data validate your hypothesis here? Which of course feeds into this product backlog management process, so hypothesis backlog and validation and whatnot. So we're going to have exercises on those as well. And then we certainly have a bit of fun stuff. For example, you can have a nice chat with Gemini on the big product backlog management process that we have here, and actually let the model analyze a complex graphic without any background information. And finally, maybe should adding a few of the things here. Finally, we will also talk about ethical AI and how you as a product person can actually employ generative AI in your work. Of course, we have to take your environment into consideration, so governance rules, etc., pp. But it's good to start with an understanding what an ethical use of this technology actually means for you in practice. And I've come up with a few ideas how to actually do this. Okay, so this is basically it. Prompt engineering, customization, GPTs, deep research, reports. Very helpful. If you haven't used them, you're really missing out here. Analyzing patterns in unstructured data. I mean, this is the classic application why these models are really great. So we certainly will talk about hypotheses and ethical AI as well. Okay, that's it. Launch will be July 15th. At least I try to do it by then. And if you already have access to the course, the update will be free of charge. You can just use it. And all others, I hope you will find this compelling and you will sign up for the course. It's just $99. And I think it's a good investment if you are a product person working in this environment, because AI is not going to take your job, but someone who can apply this probably will have a better career opportunity here than you have if you do not know what you're doing here. So I hope I see you when we kick off the welcome session with all the new subscribers in late July. And until then, I keep you posted, and I hope you enjoy this. Bye.